Hey everyone, Hunter the Resilient. Thank you for taking the resilient path with me. This video today is going to be going over anger, pride, and unforgiveness. And as always, I'm going to be looking down at my notes. So if you see my head going up and down, that's why. There's a lot of information that I'd like to share with you, stuff that I wish was shared with me growing up in my early 20s and even in my mid 20s. So hopefully this helps you, helps someone that you have shared the video with, and hopefully it sticks, in the back of your mind. That's the most important. We have so much that we're already constantly worried about, that we're thinking of. So don't feel pressured to, you know, don't feel like there's going to be an exam at the end of this video, because there's not. um, but again, anger, pride, and unforgiveness, three things that I feel um, can destroy an individual. And if you know me, the reason why I created this channel is because the primary reason is because of resilience, right? I want to share the resilient path that I've had and join you in your resilient path as well. Um, but also, I like to focus on health, career, and mindset. Three things that I feel growing up as a young man, getting out of high school, and then going into that transitional age youth era, I wish I had some knowledge of. And I'm going to try to cover those three things: health, career, and mindset, because I think it's important for you to understand how anger, pride, and unforgiveness affects you in your lives. And not just and when I say lives, I mean your social network, your social circle, your immediate circle, whether it's family or close friends, right? So I'm going to try to cover that to the best of my ability. So hang in there with me. Let's get into the video, and thank you again. Ooh, so I had to learn these three things um, at separate times, sometimes simultaneously, but I was pretty fortunate enough to recognize certain patterns that I had within myself. And I think that's definitely the first thing that we can do, is recognize the patterns based off of these three things. Is, when do I get angry? When do I show pride? When does my pride get in the way? Have I forgave someone that's done wrong to me? Am I carrying some sort of resentment towards anybody, right? And I think that's important. Those are important questions that you need to ask yourself throughout this video, to kind of get your mind going and thinking about that. By the way, I do have a free ebook that I'm going to put in the description. So, free ebook, the link is in the description. One more thing: if you have not already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm, it helps me out, it helps you and others who may not have come across my videos. If you think that they're worthy being shared in the YouTube universe, then great. If you don't, then that's great too. But it would really help out if you subscribed, and also smash that like button, because that would also help too. So the first thing that I want to talk about, really is anger. I mean, anger is definitely something that oftentimes goes unchecked. And quite frankly, I've noticed as I've gotten older, the how anger really just breaks young adults, how it breaks grown adults. It destroys careers, it destroys relationships. For me, it's done all that for sure. But I've noticed that as a society, we've kind of gone away from widening our scope and taking a step back, and really just reacting in anger. And it often goes unchecked. I mean, I don't just see this on TikTok or on YouTube videos. I mean, this happens to me every single day, whether it's on the road and, you know, Lord forgive that something happened because of road rage or something, but I mean, I've definitely have gone away from that, but I've noticed that a lot of times it goes unchecked. And so there's definitely some consequences that affect your health, your career, and also your mindset. So when it comes down to some of the health impacts, well, chronic anger increases the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and even a weakened immunity. So think about that. If you like to exercise like me, if you like to hit the gym, you like to be active, going on walks, going on jogs, hiking. I mean, some of those things, those are privileges that we get to do that not many people get to do that. So just think about that. And when it comes down to your career and the workplace impact that it can have, well, a Yale study found that people who cannot regulate anger are 3 times more likely to have conflicts at work and miss promotions. So, I mean, just think about it, right? If you're not easy to work with, then no one can work with you. And a lot of my peers and even I thought that group projects were things just that stayed within the classroom. And no, you go into a career, you got to work alongside other individuals, right? Other departments. There's group work is never truly going to be done. It does not matter if you have a blue collar job or a white collar job. You're working with individuals and you got to work together to get things done. I mean, I'm just like, there's so many different examples related to blue collar jobs and white collar jobs that are coming across my mind right now where you got to work in groups. So just think about that. And also, you work so hard to be the best employee, the best entrepreneur, and you just got to be able to work with one another, right? Now, in terms of mindset, well, one thing for sure is that neuroscientific research shows anger shrinks the prefrontal cortex over time, really impacting judgment, impulse control, and emotional intelligence. Um, I'll just say this real quick about EQ, emotional intelligence. It's said that EQ is far more important than IQ. And I mean, it depends on the career that you're looking for and just but again, like everything is relationship based and I truly believe that saying. So just think about that, right? Next time, think about how your when your anger comes up, what triggers it, who triggers it, why is it triggered? There may be some things that you need to address. So, item number 2, pride often disguises itself as self-respect, but unchecked pride leads to stagnation, isolation, and missed learning opportunities. And honestly, I mean that's so true. I mean, especially when we think about self-respect, sometimes pride definitely does get in the way of some of that stuff. So I just keep that in mind. Now, when it comes down to obviously your relationships, it can erode your social networks, your social circle. Um, so you got to keep that in mind. And again, like everyone is trying to do their best, but no one can really do things alone. So next time, think about your social network. Think about your social circle. You know, are you are you doing people justice? Are you being there for individuals? Are you being the best best self for individuals too? So don't let your pride get in the way because that's gonna come because you can't get in the way and it'll ruin your network. A reduced learning curve. So research in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows prideful individuals are less likely to ask questions, slowing skill development and missing mentorship. Now that that is so true. Um, I'm sure everyone here has knows about that saying where um, that's pretty much about like there's no dumb questions and there really isn't. If you have a question, definitely just ask it. If you because you just never know. I mean, you can't really do it alone. And that's one thing I've struggled with is thinking that, oh, I got this, I can do this, I can take this on. And the reality is I'm always going to need help, and I've dramatically improved in my career and just as an individual is asking for help because, like, let's just face it, a lot of what we do in life, like, we always we always could use a lending hand, and I think that's super important as well. So just definitely think about that. So leadership limitation, again, we're talking about pride. So a Stanford study found that leaders who resist feedback due to pride are 40% less likely to adapt or grow their teams. Feedback is super important. Um, it reminds me of a current situation I had at work where I actually asked for feedback from an account that I had, and we didn't really talk about that, but we ended up talking about it later. And number one, I know that for me, I could do a lot more to support this practice and just help them navigate certain things. But I also recognize that it's not, it's like a 50-50, right? Or 50-50 in terms of, like, I could do better and then my organization could also improve. Um, because there were certain things that we were aware of, and some things that are a little bit out of our control, honestly. Well, not a little bit, but a lot. And but I've noticed that individuals who don't ask for feedback often they do get stuck. I mean, where else are they going to go? They get stuck, and oftentimes it's like, you get stuck, you get left in the dust, and you don't know how to navigate and adapt to the incoming situations. So that's certainly something to be mindful of. You're going to get left behind, left in the dust. Um, if you if you just think you can do it alone, if you don't ask any questions, if you just let your pride get in the way. Now, the last thing that and actually before I do that, I do have a question for you. Where in your life are you pretending you don't need help? What has that cost you in growth or connection? Think about your values, right? One of my values is actually growth, having a growth mindset. Second is communication. Um, and then third is health. And in no particular order. Anyways, so just really think about that. The third and final item that can destroy an individual and can destroy you, your career, your health, and your mindset is unforgiveness. So unforgiveness is like carrying an emotional debt. You pay for it daily with mental energy, stress, and missed opportunities for a deeper connection. Um, I mean, I can go so many different avenues with that. So many. It just reminded me like a video I was watching on YouTube earlier today. But in terms of your mindset, according to John Hopkins, unforgiveness is linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. So, you know, I'll get into a video later about how I dealt with my depression and how my depression really just messed me up during my early 20s. And quite frankly, it was because I was holding on to resentment. I was just holding on to a couple things. Um, yeah, it was a lot of resentment. We'll get into that video like later, but just think about that, right? Lower quality of life. So studies show that people who forgive sleep better and have fewer physical symptoms and feel more satisfied with life. And that's so true. I mean, I've met some people who are very resentful, very bitter, and rightfully so. I mean, there may be certain things that are very difficult to forgive and forget, so to speak. So I totally understand that. But at the same time, like, it doesn't really do you any good. In one of my previous videos that I actually made, I talked about how I forgive my father for me, right? It was eating me up. And so just think about that. Do you have something that's eating you up? Do you have something that you just need to let go? Think about that. And the last point here is you have weaker social network conditions. So holding grudges isolates people, limiting support systems, and trust-based relationships. I mean, that's just icing on the cake right there, really. It's like a full 360. I don't think I need to say more about that. But again, your social network is power. So you really just have to be mindful of how you deal with forgiveness and things of that nature. Um, you got to move on at some point. Hey, look, to sum things up, these three things, pride, unforgiveness, and anger, can really affect your life, but specifically your health, your career, and your mindset. In today's world, as a man, it's truly not easy to navigate this world, especially if you didn't have a father figure like me. It's really difficult to navigate certain things, certain situations, whether it's career, your health, or social relationships, which I often see a lot of individuals who grew up without a father struggle with, and I'll include myself in that. Um, and so I really hope this has you brainstorming. It has you thinking critically about where you are at in your life. Whether you're 20, you're 18, you're 25, or even if you're 40, 50, wherever you are, it's never too late to address the elephant in the room. So, again, my name is Honda the Resilient. If I did bring any value to you, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I truly appreciate it. More videos to come, and I'll see you in the next one.